Well, we start with a very important question. What are the important and pertinent aspects that will define Modi 3.0? While the elections have given Prime Minister designate Narendra Modi a third term to lead the country, he is now forced to form a new coalition government. With a mandate that has forced Prime Minister designate Narendra Modi to stitch a coalition, the formation of a new government and the floor test. The distribution of cabinet berths and the budget are likely to be the top events which would likely define the new government. President Draupadi Murmu has asked Modi to lead the next union government. Modi and the rest of his team will take the oath of office at 6 p.m. on Sunday. Modi will be the first three-term Prime Minister since Congress leader Jawaharlal Nehru. The details of the numbers after the floor test will give us an idea of the real strength of the new government. In terms of numbers, from a continuity perspective, all eyes are on the talks between the BJP and its two most important allies, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu's 16 TDP MPs and the 12 from the JDU of his Bihar counterpart Nitish Kumar. Both sides are competing for high-level ministerial positions, and in the case of the TDP, the Lok Sabha Speaker's chair. Modi will be forced to accommodate demands from his allies, which will be the next hurdle. The distribution of cabinet berths will also define Modi's capabilities in negotiating with a coalition of outside parties. Concerns of India's economic path and the new coalition government's ability to push through tough reforms are floating. However, the real event that will likely define Modi 3.0 will be the budget. While the Prime Minister designate was able to make tough decisions on fiscal discipline and economic reforms with a strong majority, which has been easy over the last decade, murmurs of a populist budget that has surfaced this week. Modi 3.0, can it deliver on tough policy reforms? Will the new budget follow the same path as the previous few years, or will it be more populist? These are the questions doing the rounds, and what the new government does it likely to define Modi 3.0. And for more on this, we are now being joined by Hemendra Hazari, senior market expert, and he's joining us live from Mumbai. Welcome to the show. I will first start by asking you, sir, that can Modi 3.0 deliver on its high growth, especially with the coalition government in the third term?
First, let us understand by what we mean by high growth and what are the capital market expectations on high growth. Because if we see the GDP numbers so far, I believe the growth rates reported are reasonably very good. So therefore, why is it that Modi and the BJP has suffered so badly in its key stronghold of Uttar Pradesh? As well as if we have seen that what is the expectations of the stock market from growth? Because obviously, if the expectations are GDP growth, I think the Indian economy has done fairly well in these last 2-3 years. But I think what the concern in the economy, and that is why the BJP has lost in its critical heartland so many seats and vote share, is that there is a major issue of employment, wages, and therefore there is a huge concern on that. Now, to deliver on that, I believe the government has to increase its overall government expenditure. Now, what the stock market wants has been that the government should increase its capital expenditure. But if you see the last 2 to 3 budgets of the government, that's what the government has been doing. The capex of the union government has been, has been pushing the economy. But unfortunately, what has happened is, while the government has pushed government capex, it has reduced government consumption expenditure, and therefore the overall government expenditure has been coming down as a percentage of GDP. And that is why we have this problem today of low employment and low wages. Now, if the government has to increase both these expenditures, then the fiscal deficit will have to expand. Now, unfortunately, the stock market and the global capital markets do not like that, and therefore they penalize it. So the markets normally take a very short-term view that only if corporate profits go up, and that's what happened, about 2 years back when the government reduced the corporate tax, which led to huge surpluses. They want such things, but that thing, when such things happen, it is short-lived, because today, and the problem has been there for a couple of years, is that aggregate demand is the issue. Now, the only way to stimulate aggregate demand when the private corporate sector, despite getting such a huge income tax cut, is not investing. Shockingly, the capital goods index currently today of the IIP is what it was at such levels at what it was a decade ago. So, which tells you even the companies whom you've given so much relief to are not investing, and they are not investing precisely because the government is not giving an adequate stimulus to the economy.
Right, Mr. Hazari, you speak of the high growth and the problems surrounding it right now. During the counting day on June 4, the Indian stocks touched record highs after counting day slump, and this coincides with Prime Minister's swearing-in ceremony. Do you think that we can perhaps maintain this growth momentum in a coalition era as well?
Yeah, obviously, you can. But again, as I said, what do you mean by growth? If you mean just by the GDP growth rates, which some economists always have had some great deal of skepticism on, and it is not met by a corresponding increase in employment and wages for the rest of the economy, you will have, only little spurts of growth in those respective sectors where the government is directing its capital expenditure. So if the government's policies, and I think the fiscal policy is a very important one, because monetary policies can only take you with a very limited direction in this regard, is that if the government comes up with a program which leads to a significant increase in the overall government expenditure and therefore the fiscal deficit, and it sits down with global credit rating agencies and convinces them that with such a strategy, you will have a more sustainable growth, which will definitely benefit the lower sections, which have clearly been unhappy with the ruling BJP, then you will get a more sustainable growth. So even if you expand and you're able to convince them that this is going to lead to sustainable growth, the masses will be happy, and so will the capital market. But so far, in 10 years of governance, the BJP government and Narendra Modi has been unable to do this.
Right, Mr. Hazari, thank you so much for taking our time and joining us on World Business Watch with your insights.